It is 7 p.m. on a Friday in Tel Aviv, and the entire city has stopped moving in one direction and started moving in another. Shops on Dizengoff Street are pulling down their shutters for Shabbat. 2 blocks away on the beach promenade, someone has already set up speakers and a folding table of watermelon and a rack, and a volleyball net is going up in the sand as the sun drops orange into the Mediterranean. 2 rhythms running at the same time in the same city on the same street. That's the first thing you notice here. The second thing is that nobody seems to find it strange at all. This is Israel, and the question was never simply whether it is beautiful. The question is how so much history, faith, ambition, and unresolved conflict fits into a country you can drive across in under 5 hours. Israel is small, smaller than most people expect, roughly the size of New Jersey, home to just over 9 million people squeezed between the Mediterranean Sea, the Jordan Valley, and a handful of borders that have shaped almost every year of its modern existence. Geographically, it is absurdly compressed. You can wake up skiing on Mount Hermon in the north, swim in the Mediterranean by lunch, and float in the Dead Sea, the lowest point on Earth, before dinner. Tel Aviv is the pulse, young, secular, built on beach clubs, rooftop bars, and a tech scene so dense, the country is often nicknamed Startup Nation. Jerusalem, less than an hour's drive away, is something else entirely. A walled old city holding the Western Wall, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound within a few hundred meters of one another. 3 of the world's major religions sharing the same square kilometer of stone. This is Israel, a tiny strip of land carrying an outsized weight of history, ambition, and unfinished argument all at once. Now the part almost no visitor expects. Israel, a country smaller than most American states, produces more venture capital-backed startups per capita than almost anywhere else on Earth, and has more companies listed on the NASDAQ than any country outside the United States and China. A nation with almost no natural resources to speak of turned itself into a global technology and agricultural power through sheer engineering, pioneering drip irrigation that now waters farms across half the planet, and desalinating so much Mediterranean seawater that Israel now produces more fresh water than it actually needs, an almost unthinkable feat in a region defined by water scarcity. Hold on to that. We will get there. Because underneath the innovation headlines sits a less discussed fact. Nearly every Israeli citizen, male and female alike, serves 2 to 3 years of mandatory military service, starting around age 18, right out of high school before most of their international peers have even chosen a college major. It shapes friendships, careers, and identity in ways that rarely make it into a highlight reel. And it means an entire generation grows up fast, in a way most tourists never fully clock while sipping iced coffee on Rothschild Boulevard. Many of the country's biggest tech success stories trace their roots directly back to elite military intelligence units, where 18-year-olds are handed responsibilities and technical training that would take years to reach in a comparable civilian career path elsewhere. And the friendships and professional networks formed during those service years often become the founding teams of startups a decade later. Food here is an argument in itself, a layered one, stitched together from Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, and Jewish diaspora, cooking brought back by waves of immigrants from over 70 countries. Hummus arguments are a genuine national sport, with entire families loyal to one hole-in-the-wall shop for life. Shakshuka, eggs poached in a spiced tomato and pepper sauce, is breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner, mopped up with fresh challah or pita, depending on the neighborhood and the day of the week. Friday afternoon smells like slow-cooked chicken and sweet challah bread rising in ovens across the country, ahead of a Shabbat dinner table that, in observant households, will not see a phone or a car key until Saturday night. The climate splits the country cleanly. Coastal humidity along Tel Aviv and Haifa, dry desert heat pushing past 40 ducks in the Negev and around the Dead Sea, and genuinely cold, occasionally snowy winters up in the Golan Heights and around Jerusalem. Traffic in Tel Aviv is dense and loud, but public transportation, buses, a growing light rail, and a genuinely excellent train network makes car-free travel realistic almost anywhere in the country. Family and community remain central here too, though filtered through a different lens than elsewhere in the region. Shabbat dinner as a weekly anchor point, army reunions that carry the emotional weight of family reunions, and a famously blunt, informal social culture where strangers will correct your Hebrew, your parking, and your life choices within the same conversation, all without a hint of malice. Locals call this bluntness dugri, and it is worn almost as a point of pride. Small talk here tends to skip straight to the real conversation, sometimes within seconds of meeting someone in line at the pharmacy. Coffee culture runs deep too, closer in spirit to Rome than to anywhere else in the region. Small, strong, unhurried espresso taken standing at a counter or nursed for 2 hours over a newspaper at a sidewalk table, with cafe menus that read like a small manifesto on how seriously the country takes its caffeine. And running underneath all of it is an unmistakable current of anxiety and adaptability living side by side. A population that has grown genuinely used to checking the news before breakfast, and just as genuinely used to going back to the beach an hour later, regardless of what it says. Yes, this is the part the title promised. Israel, and Tel Aviv in particular, has built a strong regional reputation for beach culture, fitness, and striking looks, reinforced by a genuinely massive LGBT+ friendly nightlife scene, a famously body-confident beach culture, and a dating scene that moves faster and more directly than much of the rest of the Middle East. But here's the demographic and historical context that gets lost in the thumbnail. Israel's population is one of the most genetically and culturally diverse in the world. Ashkenazi Jews from Europe, Mizrahi and Sephardic Jews from across the Middle East and North Africa, Ethiopian Jews, Russian-speaking immigrants who arrived in massive waves after the Soviet collapse, and a substantial Arab citizen population making up roughly a fifth of the country. There is no single look here, genetically or culturally, whatever the postcard suggests. What actually exists is one of the most concentrated immigration stories on the planet, compressed into 3 generations. But here is a fact that says more about a whole country than any thumbnail ever could. Israeli women serve in the military on equal mandatory terms with men, filling combat and command roles that remain rare for women almost anywhere else in the region. And Israeli women also hold university degrees at rates comparable to or exceeding men in several fields, including a notably strong female presence in the country's famous tech sector. And yet, despite that, Israel still carries one of the largest gender pay gaps among developed economies, and ultra-Orthodox and religious conservative communities within the same small country maintain dramatically more traditional expectations for women's roles, creating a genuine split between secular Tel Aviv's dating apps and gender norms that would feel instantly, jarringly different 2 hours away in Bnei Brak or parts of Jerusalem. So if the title brought you in for beauty, stay for the fact that Israeli women are, statistically, serving on the front lines of the country's military and its tech industry in near equal measure to men, in a country that is simultaneously one of the most progressive in the region and home to some of its most traditional conservative communities, sometimes separated by a single city block. Dating culture reflects the same split. Tel Aviv runs on the same apps and casual dating norms familiar to any major Western city, while a short drive away, matchmaking and family involvement still shape courtship in more religious communities the way they have for generations. 2 entirely different rule books operating under one small flag. Israel's story, underneath all of it, is a story of return, rupture, and repeated reinvention. The land itself carries continuous layers of history: Canaanite, Israelite, Roman, Byzantine, Islamic caliphates, Crusader, Ottoman, British Mandate, visible in a single walk through Jerusalem's Old City, where a Roman-era street sits directly beneath an Ottoman-era market. The modern state was declared in 1948, immediately followed by war, and the decades since have carried further wars in 1967, 1973, and repeated rounds of conflict since, alongside waves of immigration from the Holocaust's survivors, from Arab and North African Jewish communities displaced after 1948, from the Soviet Union's collapse, and from Ethiopia. It is, without exaggeration, one of the most contested pieces of land on the planet, sitting at the center of a conflict with the Palestinian people that remains genuinely unresolved and deeply painful for people on multiple sides, a topic bigger than any travel video can fairly summarize, and one this video will not pretend to settle. What can be said honestly is this: Both peoples carry generations of loss, displacement, and grievance connected to this same stretch of land, and any traveler spending real time here will hear those histories told with equal conviction from opposite directions, sometimes within the same afternoon, sometimes from people who grew up a few kilometers apart and have never once agreed on what happened. Here is where the armchair daydream becomes a spreadsheet. Israel is, by a wide margin, one of the most expensive countries in the entire Middle East, and one of the pricier countries in the world outright. A basic cappuccino in Tel Aviv can run 14 to 18 shekels, roughly $4 to $5, and rent for a one-bedroom apartment in central Tel Aviv frequently exceeds 6,000 shekels a month, close to $1,700, rivaling major Western European capitals. Average net monthly salary sits around 10,000 to 12,000 shekels, roughly $2,700 to $3,300, which sounds strong on paper but is quickly consumed by a cost of living that regularly ranks among the highest globally, especially for housing. This is the secret the title promised, in numbers rather than imagery. The unreal feeling tourists get here is subsidized, quietly by locals working long hours in one of the most expensive cities on earth just to keep pace with it. If you have made it this far and you are enjoying the journey, a like and a subscribe genuinely help this channel keep making videos like this one. The danger here is real, but rarely what casual visitors assume from headlines alone. Tel Aviv itself remains, on a day-to-day basis, one of the safer, more walkable cities in the region, with low street crime and a very active visible cafe and nightlife culture running late into the night. But Israel sits at the center of one of the most closely watched conflicts on the planet, and periods of escalation, rocket fire, military operations, and unrest in the West Bank and around Gaza have occurred repeatedly over the decades, including major escalations in recent years. And travel advisories shift accordingly and should always be checked immediately before any trip. Areas near the Gaza border and parts of the West Bank carry genuine, serious risk during active periods of conflict, and responsible travel planning here means checking current government advisories, not old blog posts. Scams targeting tourists are comparatively rare by regional standards, though inflated prices in tourist-heavy areas of Jerusalem's Old City are common enough to be worth simple price checking before you buy. But look closer, because the natural and historical grandeur here genuinely earns the hype. The Dead Sea, shared with Jordan on its opposite shore, offers the same impossible, involuntary floating experience, framed here by the dramatic cliffs of Masada, an ancient mountaintop fortress where, according to historical accounts, a group of Jewish rebels held out against the Roman army before the site's fall in 73 CE, reachable by cable car or, for the more determined, a pre-dawn hike up the snake path to watch sunrise break over the Jordanian mountains across the water. Jerusalem's Old City is a dense, walkable maze of four quarters, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, and Armenian, packed into under a single square kilometer, holding the Western Wall, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the Dome of the Rock within a short walk of one another. Tel Aviv's beaches run for kilometers along a genuinely excellent stretch of Mediterranean coastline, framed by the ancient port city of Jaffa at one end, its stone alleys and art galleries sitting quietly beside the beach clubs and surf schools that now surround it. Further north, the Baha'i Gardens in Haifa cascade down Mount Carmel in 19 manicured terraces, so precisely symmetrical they look almost computer-generated, drawing pilgrims and tourists alike to one of the most photographed views in the entire country. And in the south, the Negev Desert stretches out into the Ramon Crater, the largest erosion crater on Earth, a vast, silent bowl of striped red and ochre rock where Bedouin-run desert camps offer stargazing skies to rival Wadi Rum just across the border. If this country is going to pull you in, here is where to put your feet first. Start in Tel Aviv and give it 2 or 3 full days. Spend a morning at the Carmel market, haggling for spices and fresh produce alongside grandmothers who have shopped the same stalls for 40 years, an afternoon on the beach with paddleball games running the entire length of the shoreline, and an evening wandering Jaffa's old port as the sun sets behind the fishing boats, its stone alleys glowing amber under string lights strung between centuries-old buildings. Don't skip Neve Tzedek, Tel Aviv's oldest neighborhood, a pocket of narrow lanes and boutique cafes that feels closer to a Mediterranean village than a modern tech capital, or the Bauhaus architecture along Rothschild Boulevard, which earned the city a UNESCO World Heritage listing as the White City for its concentration of early 20th century modernist buildings, the largest such collection anywhere on Earth. From there, Jerusalem deserves at least 2 full days on its own. Walk the full length of the Old City slowly, visit the Western Wall at dawn before the crowds arrive, and the stone still holds the cool of the night, and set aside a serious, unhurried few hours for Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust Memorial and Museum, widely regarded as one of the most powerful, sobering museum experiences anywhere in the world. Wander the Mahan Yehuda market by day for food and return after dark, when the same stalls transform into one of the city's liveliest bar and live music scenes. A genuine split-personality neighborhood most first-time visitors never expect. Head south to Masada and the Dead Sea as a combined day trip, floating in the mineral water before or after the sunrise hike depending on your energy levels, and stopping at Ein Gedi Nature Reserve along the way, where freshwater waterfalls cut through the desert cliffs and ibex wander the trails with total indifference to hikers. For travelers with extra days, the Golan Heights in the north offer waterfalls, boutique wineries, and genuinely dramatic mountain scenery most itineraries skip entirely, along with some of the best hiking in the country. Haifa, built across the slopes of Mount Carmel, offers a quieter, greener city break centered on the terraced Baha'i Gardens, a UNESCO World Heritage Site cascading down the mountainside in 19 manicured tiers. And Eilat on the Red Sea in the far south rounds out a trip with excellent diving and snorkeling over coral reefs, a short flight or long drive from Tel Aviv, plus some of the most reliable sunshine in the entire country, year-round. So here is the mirror. Israel is a small, resource-poor strip of land that turned itself into a global technology power, sitting at the exact center of one of the most contested, painful, unresolved conflicts on the planet, both at the same time in the same square kilometers. It is a place where the beaches are, yes, stunning, but where an entire generation grows up trading their late teens for military service before most of the world's 20-year-olds have finished a degree. Where the history is dense enough to fill 100 documentaries, but the present remains genuinely, actively unfinished, still being written in real time, headline by headline. Maybe the real question was never whether Israel feels unreal. It is whether any single visit could ever be long enough to hold everything this small piece of land is actually carrying. The beach, the border, the prayer, and the argument, all sitting within the same short drive, on the same afternoon, under the same relentless Mediterranean sun.